Ever wonder what your grandparents really served at Christmas? Before modern grocery stores made everything available year-round, holiday tables looked wildly different and way more interesting. Today, we're uncovering 25 forgotten Christmas recipes that define celebrations from the 1800s through the 1960s, from potato candy to flaming puddings to whole roasted swans. Pinwheel potato candy. Depression-era genius turned mashed potatoes into Christmas confection. Housewives across Pennsylvania and Ohio mixed leftover mashed potatoes with powdered sugar, about 3 to 4 cups, creating a sweet, pliable dough where the potato flavor completely disappeared. They'd roll it thin, spread creamy peanut butter across the surface, then roll it tight like a jelly roll. After chilling, they'd slice it into perfect spirals, revealing white and tan rings. Each bite delivered intensely sweet candy, with subtle earthy undertones and peanut butter punch. This wasn't desperation. It was kitchen alchemy when store-bought sweets were impossible luxuries. Working-class mothers arranged these pinwheels on their best plates, and children never knew they were eating vegetables for dessert. The potato acted as binder, transforming rationed ingredients into holiday magic that proved limitation-bred creativity. Roast goose. Before turkey dominated, goose was Christmas royalty. From medieval England through Victorian America, this bird represented prosperity and tradition. Charles Dickens immortalized it in A Christmas Carol, documenting what middle-class families actually served. The preparation took all day. An 8 to 12-pound goose, skin pricked all over to release abundant fat during roasting. The cavity got stuffed with tart apples, onions, fresh sage, and chestnuts. 3 to 4 hours in a hot oven with basting every 20 minutes produced mahogany brown, crackling crisp skin. The dark meat underneath was intensely flavorful, almost gamey, nothing like mild turkey. Every spoonful of rendered fat got saved for frying potatoes for months. Carving it at the table was ceremonial, the patriarch presiding over distribution. Turkey eventually won because it was bigger and cheaper, but those who remember Christmas goose recall a depth of flavor modern poultry can't match. Grandma's stuffed celery. Fresh celery in winter was a Depression-era status symbol. Throughout the 1930s to 50s, crisp celery stalks on your Christmas table proved you had resources. Hostesses selected the innermost tender stalks, the heart, and trimmed them into 3-inch sections. The filling was whipped cream cheese with minced olives, chopped nuts, or finely diced pimientos, piped through pastry bags with impressive precision. Some grandmas used Roquefort mixed with butter for sophisticated punch. The piping had to be perfect. Smooth ridges filling the celery channel completely, garnished with paprika or tiny parsley sprigs. These appeared on relish trays alongside pickles and radish roses. Eating one required delicate bites, cold celery crunch, contrasting with rich, creamy filling. They represented refinement, elevating simple ingredients into something restaurant-worthy. Grandmothers spent entire afternoons piping cheese, believing this small elegance made Christmas special. Christmas tree-shaped cheese ball. The 1950s to 60s were the golden age of creative food presentation. Post-war prosperity meant housewives had time for elaborate entertaining, and women's magazines pushed entertaining as both art and competition. 2 pounds of cream cheese mixed with sharp cheddar, Worcestershire sauce, garlic powder, and cayenne got formed into cone shapes. After refrigerating until firm, the entire surface got coated with minced fresh parsley until it resembled green pine needles, then decorated with tiny pimiento ornaments and a cherry tomato star on top. Pretzel sticks formed the tree trunk. This centerpiece sat on appetizer tables while guests admired your creativity. The cheese was intensely sharp and savory, spreading smoothly on buttery Ritz crackers, but taste was secondary to visual impact. You'd transformed simple ingredients into holiday spectacle, proving you were sophisticated and modern. Sausage balls. Southern Christmas morning essentials since the 1970s. The convenience food revolution brought biscuit and pre-shredded sharp cheddar into every pantry. Southern cooks combined these with bulk breakfast sausage to create no-fail appetizers that fed crowds. 1 pound of raw pork sausage mixed with 3 cups of biscuit and 4 cups of extra sharp cheddar. You'd work it together with your hands, roll tablespoon-sized portions into perfect spheres, and bake at 350 degrees for 25 minutes. They emerged golden brown with crispy exteriors and tender, cheesy centers. The sausage fat rendered out during baking, carrying all the fennel, sage, and pepper flavors. Fresh from the oven, these little globes were dangerously hot and impossibly savory. Sharp cheddar provided tangy punch, biscuit gave structure, and sausage delivered protein and spice. They represented easy entertaining, dump, mix, bake, serve, perfect for busy holiday mornings. Aspic Molds. Nothing says forgotten, quite like savory gelatin suspended with vegetables. From Victorian times through the 1960s, gelatin represented culinary sophistication. When Knox and Jell-O made powdered gelatin cheap and accessible, home cooks went wild. Tomato aspic was standard. Heated tomato juice seasoned with celery salt, Worcestershire sauce, lemon juice, and bay leaf, with unflavored gelatin dissolved in. Once cooled slightly, it poured into decorative ring molds with layers of diced celery, green pepper, and sometimes shrimp. 6 hours in the refrigerator set it firm. Unmolding required nerve. Hot water on the mold's outside, a sharp shake, and prayers it would release intact onto lettuce-lined plates. The result was a jewel-toned, quivering tower. The texture challenged modern palates. Cool, slippery gelatin with crunchy vegetable bits, savory and bright, but fundamentally weird. Green tomato mincemeat pie. Before frost killed the garden, Grandma turned unripe tomatoes into Christmas dessert. Traditional mincemeat contained minced beef or venison with dried fruits and brandy. By the early 1900s, mock mincemeat replaced expensive meat with green tomatoes, providing similar texture and tartness. 3 to 4 cups of chopped green tomatoes combined with raisins, currants, chopped apples, brown sugar, vinegar, cinnamon, cloves, allspice, and brandy. This simmered for over an hour until tomatoes broke down into dark, thick, intensely spiced paste. The vinegar and tomato acidity mimicked citrus peel in traditional recipes. Piled into pastry-lined pie plates, dotted with butter, and covered with top crust, it baked until golden. The finished pie was dark, aromatic, and complex. Fruit sweetness cut by spicy warmth and mysterious tartness. Green tomatoes completely disguised themselves, providing texture without identifiable vegetable flavor. Sugar plums. They danced in your head during "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." But real sugar plums contained no plums. These medieval confections from the 1600s through Victorian era were original Christmas candy. The plum meant any dried fruit, prunes, dates, or apricots, combined with nuts, spices, and honey, rolled in sugar until they formed perfect spheres. Making them required patience, spanning days. Pitted prunes and dates got ground with blanched almonds, candied citrus peel, and spices like cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves. This dense paste rolled into marble-sized balls, then rolled in superfine sugar and left to dry. This process repeated daily for 3 to 5 days, building multiple sugar coating layers until each plum had a crystalline, crunchy shell. Biting through that sugar shell into dark, spiced fruit center was Christmas itself. Sweet, aromatic, mysterious, and completely unlike everyday food. Crab-stuffed mushrooms. Peak Mad Men entertaining required impressive hot appetizers, and these screamed fancy dinner party. The 1960s to 70s hostesses competed over who could serve the most sophisticated nibbles. Large white mushrooms got stems removed, caps brushed with butter, then pre-baked to release moisture. The filling combined fresh or canned lump crab meat with cream cheese, mayonnaise, minced onion, Worcestershire sauce, and beaten egg for binding. Breadcrumbs provided texture. Old Bay or lemon juice added brightness. This mixture got spooned into each cap, mounted high, topped with Parmesan cheese and paprika. Back into the oven until golden brown and bubbling. Fresh from the oven, these were impossibly rich. Buttery mushroom paired with sweet crab and tangy cheese, all bound in creamy, savory harmony. They had to be eaten with napkins because they were messy and delicious. Fruitcake. America's most maligned Christmas dessert was actually a preservation miracle predating refrigeration. Historically, these dense, alcohol-soaked cakes were expensive luxuries families made once yearly and treasured for months. Victorian dark fruitcake recipes were heirloom treasures, each family claiming theirs was superior. The secret was aging. Proper fruitcake was made in October or November, then fed with brandy or rum weekly until Christmas. Pounds of dried fruits, raisins, currants, candied citrus peel, cherries, and dates, soaked in brandy overnight. Next day, creamed butter and dark brown sugar mixed with eggs and molasses. Then flour with spices like cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. Soaked fruits and chopped pecans added until the batter was more fruit and nuts than cake. This dense mixture baked low and slow for 3 hours, then got wrapped in brandy-soaked cheesecloth and stored in tins. Nutty Puppy Chow, Muddy Buddies. This Midwestern Christmas treat from the 1960s turned breakfast cereal into addictive holiday candy. Church cookbook culture created this when creative cooks discovered that coating Chex cereal in melted chocolate and peanut butter, then tossing it in powdered sugar, created something irresistible. The name, Puppy Chow, came from its resemblance to dog food. Chocolate chips melted with peanut butter, and butter created glossy, smooth coating poured over an entire box of rice or corn Chex. The whole mixture then got dumped into a large paper bag filled with powdered sugar, folded, and shaken vigorously. The cereal pieces tumbled around, getting coated in thick white powder while chocolate sat underneath. The result looked like snowdrift-covered squares, crunchy and sweet with addictive chocolate peanut butter combination. Each handful left fingers dusted white, and you couldn't eat just one piece. Christmas Plum Pudding. This British import required months of preparation and ceremonial flaming at the table. On Stir-Up Sunday, the last Sunday before Advent, every family member stirred the pudding mixture and made a wish. The pudding then aged for weeks, developing complex flavors. Breadcrumbs combined with shredded sweet, flour, dark brown sugar and eggs, then pounds of dried fruits soaked in brandy, raisins, currants, candied peel, dates, and prunes. Warm spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and allspice went in with grated citrus zest. This dark, dense mixture packed into buttered pudding basins, covered with parchment and cloth, then steamed for 6 to 8 hours. After cooling, it got wrapped and stored with weekly brandy additions. Christmas Day, it re-steamed for 2 hours, then unmolded and doused in warmed brandy. Set alight, it arrived at the table wreathed in blue flames. Rum Balls. These no-bake confections let Grandma serve booze disguised as sophisticated holiday candy. Rum Balls emerged in the 1950s cocktail culture explosion when home bars were status symbols. They were perfect. No baking required, made ahead successfully, and used up stale cake or cookie crumbs. Vanilla wafer or graham cracker crumbs mixed with powdered sugar, cocoa powder, finely chopped pecans or walnuts, corn syrup, and generous amounts of dark rum, sometimes half a cup or more. You'd work it together with your hands until it formed cohesive mixture, adding more rum if too dry. Roll into 1-inch balls, then roll again in powdered sugar, cocoa powder, or finely chopped nuts for coating. They sat in tins for at least a week before serving, mellowing and developing deeper flavors. The rum content was high enough to provide genuine buzz if you ate enough. Hot Dr. Pepper. This warm soda concoction was holiday entertaining genius from the 1960s. Dr. Pepper's marketing department actually promoted this as a festive beverage, printing recipes on bottles during winter months. The method was simple. Pour Dr. Pepper into a saucepan and heat until almost boiling. Never actually boiling, or it would lose carbonation and go flat. Float a thin slice of lemon in each mug before pouring the hot soda over it. The heat intensified Dr. Pepper's 23 flavors, creating something that tasted almost like spiced cider with cherry notes. The lemon added brightness and sophistication. This appeared at holiday open houses and church gatherings as the non-alcoholic option that was still special. Kids loved it because it was soda for dinner, and adults appreciated its warming qualities during cold holiday visits. It represented the space age. Even soft drinks could be reinvented. Mince pie with meat. Traditional mincemeat actually contained minced meat, usually beef or venison, mixed with dried fruits, spices, suet, and brandy. Medieval cooks created this to preserve meat through winter, the sugar and alcohol acting as preservatives. By Victorian times, mincemeat was Christmas essential. The preparation started weeks ahead. Lean beef or venison got finely chopped or ground, mixed with beef sweet, apples, raisins, currants, candied citrus peel, brown sugar, and spices like cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice. Brandy or rum added moisture and preservation. This mixture aged in crocks, flavors melding and deepening. At Christmas, it filled double-crust pies that baked until golden. Each bite delivered sweet, savory complexity, fruit sweetness with meaty depth, warming spices, and boozy heat. Modern palates find meat in dessert disturbing, but historically, it made perfect sense. Preserved protein disguised as festive treat. Hominy pudding. This Southern Christmas side dish transformed dried corn into creamy, comforting pudding. Hominy, dried corn kernels treated with lye to remove hulls, was staple food across the South. For Christmas, it became something special. Cooked hominy got combined with milk, eggs, butter, sugar, and sometimes vanilla or nutmeg in a buttered baking dish. The mixture baked slowly until it set into creamy, custard-like consistency with slightly crusty top. The hominy grains provided texture, soft, tender corn against smooth custard. Some recipes added raisins or were savory with cheese and black pepper instead of sugar. It appeared alongside ham or turkey as the starch course, absorbing meat drippings beautifully. The dish represented making the ordinary extraordinary, taking humble dried corn and elevating it through technique and care into something worthy of the holiday table. Spiced peaches. Before fresh fruit was available year-round, preserved spiced peaches were Christmas luxury. Late summer, when peaches were abundant and cheap, housewives would put up dozens of jars for winter. Whole peeled peaches got packed into jars with syrup made from sugar, vinegar, and warming spices. Cinnamon sticks, whole cloves, allspice berries, and sometimes ginger. The vinegar provided preservation and brightness, while spices added complexity. These jars sat in cellars or pantries for months, the peaches absorbing spice flavors and developing deep amber color. At Christmas dinner, they appeared in cut glass bowls as the fruit course, sweet tart, spicy, and elegant. The syrup could be reduced into glaze for ham. Each peach slice delivered concentrated fruit flavor with vinegar tang and warm spice notes, a taste of summer preserved for winter celebration. Carp and Cod Dinners. In Catholic and Eastern European immigrant communities, Christmas Eve meant fish dinners, specifically carp or cod. The tradition came from religious fasting rules prohibiting meat before Christmas Day. Families would buy live carp days before Christmas, keeping them in bathtubs to purge any muddy flavor. Christmas Eve, the carp got scaled, cleaned, and prepared multiple ways. Fried in breadcrumbs, stewed in sweet sour sauce with raisins and gingerbread, or made into gefilte fish. Salt cod required days of soaking to remove salt, then got baked with tomatoes and olives or creamed with potatoes. These fish dinners were elaborate affairs, multiple courses, all seafood, representing sacrifice before the feast day. The carp was mild, slightly sweet, with tender flesh when prepared properly. Salt cod was intensely flavored, silky when creamed, carrying Mediterranean sunshine into winter darkness. Swan Pie. Medieval and Renaissance Christmas feasts featured swan pie as the ultimate status symbol. Only nobility could serve swan. The birds belonged to the crown by law. The preparation was spectacular theater. The swan got roasted, carved, and the meat made into rich pie filling with fruits, spices, and wine. The finished pie got decorated with the swan's own feathered skin, head, and neck, arranged to look like the bird was emerging from the crust. Sometimes, the beak got gilded with gold leaf. This arrived at the table to gasps, servants carrying it high, while musicians played. The meat itself was dark, rich, and gamey, stronger than goose, almost like wild duck. The pie filling contained dried fruits, nuts, hard-boiled eggs, and spiced wine sauce, creating sweet, savory medieval flavor profile. This wasn't just food, it was power displayed through elaborate culinary spectacle. Meat pies. British and American Christmas tables featured savory meat pies as main courses through the 1800s. These weren't delicate pastries, but substantial meals. Thick double crusts encasing chunks of beef, pork, or game with gravy. The preparation required advanced work. Tough cuts of meat got slowly braised until tender. The braising liquid reduced to rich gravy. Vegetables like onions, carrots, and turnips added bulk. This filling got piled into pastry-lined deep dishes, covered with top crust, and baked until golden. Some families made standing pies with thick, sturdy crusts that could support the filling weight and be sliced into wedges. Fresh from the oven, the crust shattered under your fork, revealing steaming meat and gravy inside. The pastry absorbed meat juices, becoming savory and tender on the bottom, while staying crisp on top. These sustained working families through cold winters. Mutton Roast. Before lamb dominated, mature sheep, mutton, was Christmas standard for the working class. Mutton was cheaper than lamb, tougher, and more intensely flavored, requiring longer, slower cooking. A leg of mutton got studded with slivers of garlic and sprigs of rosemary pushed into slits cut in the meat. It roasted for hours at moderate temperature, the tough muscle fibers slowly breaking down into tender, flavorful meat. The fat rendered out, basting the roast and creating pan drippings for gravy. Properly cooked mutton was deep mahogany outside, pink inside, with flavor much stronger than mild lamb. Almost gamey, intensely savory. It got carved at the table into thin slices that absorbed mint sauce or red currant jelly. The leftovers made shepherd's pie, stew, and sandwiches for days. Mutton represented practicality, making use of older animals that had served their purpose. Snowball Dessert. This 1950s frozen dessert was pure mid-century magic. Vanilla ice cream got scooped into perfect spheres, rolled in sweetened shredded coconut until completely coated, then frozen solid. Just before serving, each snowball got drizzled with chocolate sauce that would harden on contact with the frozen coconut. The presentation was striking: white coconut snowballs with dark chocolate drizzle on your best dessert plates. Some versions place the snowball on a slice of pound cake or in a pool of raspberry sauce. The first bite cracked through chocolate shell and coconut coating into smooth, cold vanilla ice cream beneath. The coconut added texture and sweetness. The chocolate provided contrast. These represented space-age entertaining, using your home freezer to create restaurant-style plated desserts. Kids especially loved them because they looked like Christmas decorations you could eat. Jell-O salad molds. No Christmas buffet was complete without multiple Jell-O salads in decorative molds. These weren't desserts. They were actual salad courses. Lime Jell-O mixed with cottage cheese, crushed pineapple, and chopped celery. Orange Jell-O combined with grated carrots and mandarin orange segments. Cherry Jell-O held Bing cherries and chopped pecans. The mixtures poured into ring molds, bundt pans, or novelty shapes, then refrigerated overnight. Unmolding required skill. Hot water on the outside, a knife around the edges, sharp shake onto lettuce-lined platters. The results were jewel-toned, quivering towers that caught the light beautifully. Each slice revealed suspended fruits, vegetables, or nuts in translucent gelatin. The texture was the challenge. Sweet, fruity gelatin with crunchy vegetable pieces creating strange, but somehow acceptable combination. These represented modernity, science, and domestic artistry all at once. Party loaf. The 1960s party loaf was sandwich construction elevated to architectural achievement. A whole unsliced loaf of white bread got the crusts removed, then sliced horizontally into 4 or 5 layers. Each layer got spread with different filling: cream cheese with chopped olives, egg salad, deviled ham, chicken salad. The reassembled loaf got frosted with softened cream cheese beaten until spreadable, completely covering all sides like a cake. The outside got decorated with vegetable garnishes, radish roses, olive slices, pimiento strips, creating elaborate patterns. The whole thing chilled for hours before slicing vertically at the table to reveal the striped layers inside. Each slice was a complete multi-sandwich, showing off your culinary creativity and patience. These appeared at ladies' luncheons, bridge parties, and Christmas gatherings as impressive centerpieces that proved you were a serious hostess. Boiled calf's head. The Depression-era butcher's bargain that modern eaters can't stomach. From the 1920s through the 1940s, particularly during the Great Depression and wartime rationing, butchers sold calf's heads for pennies because most Americans had suddenly become squeamish about offal. Your great-grandmother knew that a single calf's head could feed 6 people for 2 meals. She'd simmer it for hours with onions, carrots, celery, and bay leaves until the meat fell tender from the bone, and the broth turned thick and golden with dissolved collagen. The cheek meat was considered the delicacy, buttery, tender, and more flavorful than any steak. The tongue got sliced thin for sandwiches. Even the brain was scrambled with eggs for breakfast. Wealthy European immigrants and farm families ate this regularly, while city folks gradually abandoned it as prosperity returned after World War II. Today's bone broth trend is basically this dish's watered-down grandchild. Home-style lamb casserole. The forgotten Sunday supper that defined 1950s comfort before beef took over America's plates. During the post-war years, lamb was cheaper and more available than beef in many regions, especially in the Northeast and Midwest, where sheep farming remained common. Grandmothers would cube shoulder or neck meat, brown it in butter or bacon fat, then layer it in a deep ceramic dish with sliced potatoes, carrots, turnips, and onions. They'd pour over a mixture of beef stock and tomato sauce, season it with rosemary, thyme, and black pepper. Then bake it slow and low for 3 hours until the meat fell apart and the vegetables turned golden at the edges. The top layer of potatoes would crisp up, while the bottom stayed creamy and rich, soaking up all those lamb juices. Families ate this every Sunday after church, mopping up the gravy with thick slices of white bread. As beef became the American meat in the 1960s, lamb casseroles vanished from rotation. Tagliatelle al ragù. Before bolognese became a jar of prego, Italian grandmothers spent entire Sundays creating this northern Italian masterpiece. In the 1930s through 1960s, first- and second-generation Italian families in American cities treated Sunday ragu as a sacred ritual. Grandma would start at dawn, browning ground beef, pork, and veal in olive oil with pancetta. Then adding carrots, celery, and onions chopped so fine they'd dissolve into the sauce. She'd pour in red wine, let it reduce, add tomato paste and crushed tomatoes. Then let the whole thing simmer on the lowest heat for 4 to 6 hours, stirring occasionally and adding beef stock when it got too thick. The sauce developed a deep, complex sweetness with layers of flavor that no quick recipe could match. She'd make her own tagliatelle pasta, rolling it thin by hand and cutting it into ribbons. When the family gathered at 2 o'clock, she'd toss the pasta in the sauce with butter and Parmigiano Reggiano, and the whole house smelled like Sunday should smell. Beef marrow toasts. Before bone broth became a health trend, Depression-era grandmothers knew marrow was liquid gold for winter meals. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, butchers practically gave away beef marrow bones, since most customers wanted only the muscle meat. Smart grandmothers would roast these bones in a hot oven for 20 minutes until the marrow inside turned soft and spreadable like butter. They'd scoop out the rich, fatty marrow and spread it thick on toasted bread rubbed with garlic, then sprinkle it with coarse salt and fresh parsley if they had it. Some added a squeeze of lemon to cut through the richness. The taste was intensely beefy, almost like concentrated beef essence mixed with butter, and it hit your stomach with warming satisfaction that lasted for hours in cold weather. Wealthy folks in the 1800s considered this a delicacy, but it became poor people's food during hard times, then disappeared entirely when Americans decided fat was the enemy in the 1970s and 1980s.